Hey, what's up you guys, this is SGB618 here, and today I'm going to be doing part 3 of the 1k sub special. Today we're going to be doing my top 10 favourite games of all time. This is a video that I've literally been waiting to make for years, and I'm finally able to do it, so I'm very excited to be making this video. Obviously, because I've been planning this video for years, the list has changed a lot, but I feel like I finally got like a solid list that I can stick with, and I could probably say that these games are my top 10 favourite games of all time. A lot of this is due to nostalgia, a lot of it is due to personal preference, a lot of it's just due to how much it immerses me in the gameplay and how amazing either the story is, the music is, and just the overall feel of the game, and even how revolutionary that game is to me at the time or just in general. Obviously this list is going to be based on my opinion and my personal thoughts, so if I leave a game out that you love, obviously we all have different experiences and different tastes, so make sure that you comment down below your top 10 favourites, and do let me know about the games that I included in this video and whether we level on that or have the same interest as well. But without further ado, let's just go straight into it. So at number 10 we've got Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Straight away, this is an unpopular opinion. Everyone loves to hate on Brawl just because it's quote unquote casual, because the graphics don't look great apparently, but I couldn't disagree more. I mean, this game is just full on nostalgia for me. The Wii was one of the consoles that I grew up with, and Smash Bros. Brawl was one of the games that I got it with, and I mean, this game pretty much got me into Nintendo, like the wider world of Nintendo. Don't get me wrong, growing up I grew up with the GBA Mario games and stuff like that, but then when I played this game I was like, whoa, look at all of these franchises. I mean, I knew Kirby was a thing, but who's Meta Knight and King DDD? Who's Ike? Who's Marth? I mean, I still don't care about Fire Emblem, but you get my point. Like, you see what I mean? Nintendo just pretty much made a game where there's just a mishmash of all of their franchises plus Sega and Sony games as well, like with Sonic and Snake, and then just putting them all in one fighting game. Like, to me that blew my mind, and just looking at the cover of this game I was just amazed. Like, just the fact that I could put Link up against Mario, Wolf up against Mr. Game & Watch, it was crazy. And even though it wasn't the first Smash Bros game, it was obviously the 64 version, Smash Bros. Brawl was just an amazing game to me, and even to this day it's still a lot of fun to play. Obviously it's kind of a joke, like size wise compared to Ultimate, but it's actually a bit of a Uno reverse card situation when you want to talk about single player content. Because even though that Ultimate does have World of Light, it doesn't even hold a candle up against Subspace Emissary. And even though I was absolutely trash at it and I needed my best friend to help me with that, obviously big shout outs, it was still a very enjoyable campaign as well. Unlocking all of the characters was fun. Playing this game in multiplayer when I invited friends and family around was super fun. I loved the stage selection, even though that the Donkey Kong stage and that leaf dropping stage is really annoying, I do really like the stages in Brawl overall. I love the character roster, I love the music. It's one of Nintendo's best soundtracks, even though that they're at a bit of an advantage because it's a mishmash of franchises, but still Brawl has a really great soundtrack. And overall it's just one of my favourite Wii games. I definitely think it's underrated, and it's definitely worthy of a spot on my top 10 favourite games. So at number 9 we've got Crash Nitro Car for the GBA. This is probably the most unknown game on the list. I'm I wouldn't be surprised if lots of you guys don't even know what this game is. I'm more specifically talking about the GBA version of this game, because the console version wasn't as great in my opinion, and they actually feel like completely different games comparing them back to back. The GBA version is once again similar to Brawl, stacked with content. I mean, it has its own campaign, it has a very wide selection of tracks and characters for that matter. Like even Spyro is in this game and he's not a Crash character. Crash Nitro Car for the GBA beat Super Circuit without it even being a contest. Crash Nitro Car is just stacked with content. It has a very cool soundtrack. It's just a mix of lots of different types of music, because obviously there are going to be lots of different types of track styles based off of different things. Like one track is driven within the inside of a clock, another track is driven on a regular road, and it's actually very similar to that road found in Crash 3 Warped. There's another track that's more in a jungle area, and it's the same thing in the campaign as well. Those tracks actually translate over to the versus mode gameplay and the story mode, which is super cool. This game also has a ton of unlockables. I love the way that you unlock Fake Crash, by the way, where you have to actually like completely drive off the track and you have to go and drive into him basically. It sounds weird, but when you play the game or even search it up, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a very creative game, and I just feel like more effort went into this game than the actual console version. It's crazy, but I do have a ton of nostalgia towards this game. It's probably my favourite GBA game, and it's Crash Bandicoot. How could I not have him in this list? Speaking of portables, at number 8 I've got Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. As far as I'm aware, these games don't get nearly as much credit as they deserve. I know that people make the assumption that it has too much water, but I mean, comparing these games to the original, I mean, it's still a great time. The originals are still great, but I played these versions first, and these games got me into Pokemon a lot more. So the first Pokemon game I actually played was Leaf Green, and it was really good. So obviously my first region that I played was in the Kanto region. But then when I moved over to the Hoenn region with Oras, I mean, it just felt completely different, and it was so tropical, but at the same time it's filled with like volcano stuff, and it's filled with like oceany stuff. I'm making up words. Like, I don't know, something about Hoenn just feels more of like an adventure. The Pokemon in there are just, I love the designs of almost all of them. I absolutely love the music in the Hoenn region, and in Oras they just enhanced pretty much all of the songs, made them all a million times better. The graphics have been improved quite a lot. I love the Delta episode after you complete the main game. I don't even want to spoil it, that's how good it is, because I just love the extra content after that. I love the battle mechanics of Oras as well. You're taking the greatness of Gen 6 and meshing in the nostalgia value and all of the great aspects of Hoenn together to make this absolutely banger of a Pokemon game. And out of all of the Pokemon games, and even the 3DS games in general, I've sunk the most hours into these games by far, and that says a lot. I've been shiny hunting the most in these games. I've spent, I think, the most hours on my 3DS with Oras. Oh my days, it's just the Pokemon available in there are great. I love what they've done with Groudon and Kyogre. It was just such a cool design element, and obviously battle element as well. Hoenn is just such an adventure. I could go on all day about how great these games are. You can literally fly around the place in a Latios or a Latios. You can't do that in any other Pokemon game as far as I'm aware. And these games, you guys just need to check it out. Oras Defo has a spot on this list and holds a very special place in my gaming heart. My first Mario Kart game, ladies and gents, Mario Kart DS. Where would I be today if I did not pick this game up years and years ago? This game not only got me into Mario Kart, but probably more into Nintendo, full stop. Like, don't get me wrong, Brawl like introduced me to the wider world of Nintendo, but if it wasn't for Mario Kart DS, I don't even know if I'll even be in front of this camera right now. Like, I'm not even joking. I remember going to my local game all the way back in the day. I can't even remember how old I was, like 7, 8. And I was just staring at Mario Kart DS because I saw it in adverts. So many other people I knew had it and I wanted it. My mum gave in and let me buy it, or she bought it for me at the time. And I just asked my parents. I was obsessed with this game. Every time they walked in the room, I was on my DS playing Mario Kart DS, whether it was mission mode, whacking up Big Buddy or Goon Boss, or if I was on battle modes with my cousins and obviously playing multiplayer. Fun fact, I used to actually make myself be player 2 just so I can play as Shy Guy. It sounds sad, but when you know that that's my favourite Mario character and he's locked behind downloadable content, I was dedicated and committed. The track selection was just next level. It still is pretty much. I mean, you've got Delfino Plaza, you've got Waluigi Pinball, which is everyone's favourite track. I mean, the Bowser's Castle in the game is great. I mean, DK Pass, TikTok Clock, I could literally go on for ages. Obviously the retro tracks weren't anything super special and they feel pretty generic from today's standards, but at the time, having retro tracks pretty much return and pretty much having the like double the amount of tracks as usual, that's a very big deal, and it made the content from Double Dash look like what you only had 4 Grand Prix, no mission modes, and no retro tracks. What's that? I'm sticking with Mario Kart DS, thanks. Or at least that was me, please don't hate me. The character roster, love it, minimal, simple, and Rob, just simple Rob. And yeah, Mario Kart DS is just packing in content. It's still an enjoyable experience to this day. I'm sure lots of you guys, especially who missed out on it back in the day, played it on the Wii U Virtual Console. I've had so much memories with it. A lot of my gaming life was spent playing it because I was just a Mario Kart bang out ever since that game. And yeah, ever since then, I've been playing Mario Kart. I've just been playing all of the Mario Karts before and after. I know lots of people have nostalgic attachment to Mario Kart Wii and say that that game's their favourite. That's definitely an honourable mention for this video. Mario Kart Wii is a great game and I have a ton of memories and nostalgia towards that game as well. But if you ask me, you see how people are towards Mario Kart Wii? That's how I am towards Mario Kart DS. Very special game to me and is definitely worth being on this list. So even though I didn't grow up with the Game Boy, my dad actually like passed down a lot of his gaming stuff over to me. So I actually did end up growing up with a couple of classic game consoles like the Game Boy and the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, wherever you live. And so there are a couple of older games that I grew up with as well, and one of which was Kirbys Dreamlands. This was definitely the Game Boy game that I played the most and I loved it. It's just a very great platformer, very simple, straight to the point, and even though it doesn't have the copyability which is now standard in Kirby games, which would arguably make this game sort of outdated, even though this game is kind of short, it's still a very enjoyable experience. The music, well, Game Boy is notorious for having classic music that gives you chills. I mean, just play any of the Pokemon games on there. But yeah, the music in this game is just super great, and again, nostalgic for me personally. It takes me back to 3 or 4 years old, playing in my bedroom. Kirby controls great on it. No, the controls don't feel outdated or broken or slippery or anything like that. It's all really good. It still somewhat feels like the NES Kirby games because it's still like D-pad and 2D Kirby, so it still feels great. There are actually a few multiple paths that you can take within levels, which is really cool, similar to the whole Sonic level situation with the Genesis Sonic games, which is really nice because I also liked Sonic games growing up as well. Yeah, whether it's spitting acorns at Wispy Woods or just blasting King Dedede out of his castle in the final fight, I just had so many great memories with Kirbys Dreamlands, and it's still a solid experience to this day. I know lots of people are going to be happy that this one is in the top half of the list, but at number 5 we've got Super Mario Galaxy. This is my favourite main series Mario game, by the way. Don't get me wrong, Odyssey was very close. It is a pretty good Mario game, as I've talked about in a previous video, and even 3D World was a contender for this video as well. I loved that game as well, but Galaxy is something special. And I know that I still have yet to play Galaxy 2, but Galaxy 1 was like no other game that I played at the time. This was one of the later Wii games that I tried out and even bought as well. But even with that in mind, it was still a very fun experience to play. Mario controls amazingly well, especially for a game where motion controls are used a lot. You would think that it would be quite quirky and quite stupid feeling to be controlling Mario and waggling the remote in the other hand, but it felt quite natural, and the All-Stars version of the game only improved on this, I think. I mean, obviously the Wii wasn't a powerful system, it was very underpowered compared to the PS3 and the Xbox, but this was probably the best looking Wii game on the system, I think. I love the cutscenes in the game. The one thing that I do hate about the game is that you can't skip the beginning one, which is why I haven't played through the game so many times, because you always have to sit through that long first cutscene. You can't skip any of the tutorial parts. I mean, the good thing is that there aren't that many of them, but just the fact that they're still there and the game doesn't give you the option to skip them is kind of annoying. But you can't really complain where the main game, the controls are really great. You know, the boss fights are really engaging and are definitely more exciting than the new Super Mario Bros. Games. The planet mechanic or the gravity mechanic is just really fun. The spin jump mechanic as well is really fun too. And just the fact that this is a main series Mario game on the Wii and is still really fun to play regardless of if you're using motion controls, it's just really nice to see. And it's also really amazing to see that it made its way over to the Switch with 3D All-Stars. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the music. Why is the music to this game so good? Like, they literally got a full-on orchestra and just went ham with it. Like, it's so good, and it feels like you're there in a concert whilst playing the game. It's so good, and it feels like Nintendo really went all out with the first entry of Galaxy. Hopefully one day I can actually try out Galaxy 2. Galaxy 1 is a great game and is defo on the list. This spot on the list we've got Burnout Paradise Remastered. This was incredibly difficult picking my favourite Burnout game because I have so many ones that I love. The original Burnout on the PS2, one of the first games I ever played, and I remember playing that game a lot with my dad growing up. I have Burnout on the PSP, and obviously the PSP is a nostalgic system, but Burnout Paradise and Remastered, I mean, those games are just... it's literally a playground for your car. I explained this in my top 5 favourite racing games video, but you can do what you want. Obviously there are challenges for you to complete in order to unlock new cars and stuff. There's also online mode where you can do challenges and stuff with friends online, which is super cool, getting even more people involved. But I mean, I love the Paradise City map. It's one of my favourite maps in gaming. It's very casual and very realistic, but at the same time, I I mean, there's ramps here and there, there's so many alternate routes you can take, there's shortcuts, it's very big, and on top of that, it has the big surf island thing as well, because with the remastered package, it combines the DLC big surf island thing with the regular Paradise City map. There's like one urban environment side to Paradise City, and then there's a more rural side in the upper areas, even down to the kart selection. I say kart, they're full of racing cars, and they're so fun to use, like every single one of them. I mean, obviously some of them are better than others for certain tasks, so obviously some racing cars won't be good for road rages, and some road rage cars won't be very good for races. So obviously there is an element of strategy in that, which is pretty cool. But in terms of the game itself, it's so much fun. You can literally just drive around the place and do whatever you want. You have a map that supports everything that you do, and the game doesn't punish you for crashing your car. If anything, it does the slow-mo and makes you feel like an absolute cool guy for crashing your car. And sometimes it's super satisfying when you do crash as well. It sounds weird, but when you play the game, you'll understand what I mean. It's just a very, very fun game. It's been around from 2008, and I'm still playing it to this day. I'm up on my version on the Switch and on the PS4. It's just a very fun experience. It makes me miss Burnout a lot, and is one of the best racing games I've probably ever played. Top 3 territory. So at number 3 I have Streets of Rage 2. Now, like I said with the Kirbys Dreamlands segment, obviously I grew up with a lot of older games as well. My dad grew up with Sega Mega Drive games or Sega Genesis games, so therefore I would also play those games through collections. And growing up I had Sega collections on the PlayStation, so normally I would just set up a game of Streets of Rage 2 and me and my dad would be playing it until we beat the game. Although I'll probably die in like one of the last stages, and then my dad would finish the game for us. But I think this is the most beloved entry in the Streets of Rage games anyway. I just have a ton of nostalgia and memories towards this game. I've sunk so many hours into it. The plot of the game is obviously quite simple because it's more of an arcadey feeling game, but by the time you finish the game and make it to the final boss, you feel very satisfied, and you feel like, yeah, I just beat this guy and I've stopped his plan. Obviously it's at its best when you're playing in multiplayer, which by the way is really good, because not only can you actually attack your friends, you actually need to strategize on how you're actually going to use certain moves with each other. So you could use grabs on each other and actually throw each other at enemies, so you can, you know, make more of an impact on them. So there are actually more strategies being used the more players that are actually playing the game as well. The levels as well, super fun. They all feel completely different from each other, so you never feel bored when you keep going in the game. And the music for each game, I mean, this is one of the best video game soundtracks I've probably ever listened to. And obviously adding nostalgia on top of that, and yeah, this is definitely going to be one of the games that's going to be in this list. Number 1 and number 2 was incredibly hard to pick, but I think this is definitely the way to go. So at number 2 I have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yes, I'm sorry that I've had quite a few Mario games in this video, but this is the last one, I promise you. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is such a revolutionary game for me. Obviously Mario Kart 8 wasn't perfect, and it had certain absent things from it, like a good battle mode and even a decent character roster at that. But then when I thought it couldn't get any better than that, Nintendo basically took Mario Kart 8 and stripped it of all of its original problems. So now you have a game that's near perfect, well, at least for me anyway. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is such a great Mario Kart game, I don't think you understand. Like, obviously the character roster still isn't great, the online could be a bit more polished, and maybe have a few more options for online. I'm not the biggest fan of the battle modes, but apart from those sorts of nitpicks, I mean, you can't go wrong with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's one of the most popular Mario Kart games right now, and for good reason. The track selection, although not my favourite, is one of my favourites. You have so many tracks to pick from, and you actually have the most Grand Prix out of any Mario Kart game, main series Mario Kart game I might add. You actually have a few Nintendo characters making appearances in this game. You have the Inklings, you have Link, the Animal Crossing characters. You've got a ton of Nintendo themed tracks and not specifically Mario tracks, which I really like personally. The F-Zero tracks are really good, I love both of them. Even the Animal Crossing track I like. Even some of the tracks that we got in the DLC are really good, but I think this game really shines with the retro tracks. The retro tracks are like absolutely amazing. They literally made them from the ground up and they feel like brand new tracks, which is what retro tracks should be. And if you see the graphics along with the music, like with these tracks, they're so good. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just feels like Nintendo put everything into it. It just felt like they put so much care into it, and when it came to the second time, when they wanted to bring it over to the Switch, they got rid of all the problems, they included more characters, they polished up everything, and they just made it a million times better. Okay, it's time to talk about my all-time favourite game, which some of you guys might not have seen coming, and it is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This was debatably the first game I ever played. The first console that I ever played on was the PS2, it was my dad's PS2, and one of the games that he had on it was Sonic Mega Collection Plus. And guess what game is on there? Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So I have played this game ever since I was like, what, 3 or 4? Maybe even younger, I don't know. But as long as I remember, I've been playing this game, and to say that I have a nostalgic attachment towards this game is kind of an understatement, because not only do I love this game because of nostalgia and just great gaming memories in general, this game is still a great game to play to this day, even if you're brand new. This is the best platformer I've played. You just go through so many of these creative levels with Genesis legendary music. I don't think I need to explain. I mean, all I need to say is Chemical Plant Zone and you guys already know what I'm talking about. I still love how the game looks. It's very similar to Streets of Rage 2, it's just very flashy and very attractive looking. Genesis Sonic is just where he was at, but Sonic 2 just took everything great from the original and just made it a near perfect game. Well, to me it's a very near perfect game. My complaint is just I want more. Like, by the time the game is finished, it was a very short game, and there were actually more levels that were supposed to be included, but unfortunately didn't make their way into production. But in terms of what we have, I mean, the special stages, especially the music, gives me chills and takes me all the way back to when I was just a little kid and I didn't even know what YouTube was. I just love everything about this game. I don't even think I can pick apart or talk about all of the specifics that I love about this game, because pretty much the majority of this game, I just love it. The platforming is tight. I know that some things haven't aged well, but let's be fair, it's still being put on collections to this day. People are still praising it to this day, including me, and it's a very special game to me. It's a game that's got me into gaming, and it's something that I'm still playing today, even though that I've been playing it ever since I was like 3 or 4. It's just an incredible game, and it's something that I will probably never stop playing, and I know Sonic gets clowned on nowadays, but Sonic 2 was where he was at his absolute highest. It's so nostalgic, it's so much fun, it's so iconic, and that's why it's my all-time favourite game. So there you have it guys, that was my top 10 favourite video games of all time. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please comment down below your thoughts on my picks. I'll be very interested to know what you thought about that. And let me know what your top 10 favourite games of all time are. I'll be very interested to know. But anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.